Hi, I'm Farrell. This is my very first YouTube video, and I'm making this because in 2019 I'm going to plan a series of long distance hikes, and I want to lay down some of the reasons why in this video I'm going on these hikes. Now, a lot of people these days, if they're taking a long distance hike on the Appalachian Trail or Pacific Crest Trail, they'll immediately go into a gear review or how they're planning on doing the hike. Northbound, southbound, flip-flop, what have you. I kind of think that's a mistake. So my very first video is going to be on the reasons why I'm doing this hike, not what I'm doing or how I'm doing it. And the first reason for that is that, as is the case right now in my home, it's raining outside. And when it's cold and raining and sleeting and you're hungry, if you haven't figured out exactly why you're out there doing it, you're simply going to fold the tent and go home. And too few people have actually thought those reasons out. So part of it is for your benefit, for you to understand why I might be doing this. Part of it is for my benefit as well, to be able to articulate to myself the reasons why I'm doing this. The next reason is adventura, adventure, to luck. I like the idea of living a little bit out on the edge, and I always have. And as I age, and perhaps as some of you have aged, you tend to be less adventurous, and I think it's time for me to add a little bit of adventure back into my life. I've always liked backpacking, went out with the Scouts, Explorer Scouts. I read the first edition of Colin Fletcher's Complete Walker when I was just a little boy, and said that this was for me. So I knew that that was always something that I would enjoy throughout my life, and indeed I have. I also like myself when I am on a long distance hike or something a little bit on the edge, and I can even describe that to myself or to other people who are asking me what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And I've always loved the mountains, and so much of the hiking is going to be in the mountains. I've spent much of my adult life along the seashore, but my spirit always soars in our North American mountains. The next reason that I'm doing this is because I can. And I don't mean this in sort of a flippant or cavalier way at all. It's that I'm healthy, relatively healthy. I'm 61 years old. I definitely have limitations, had surgeries on both knees, but in general, I'm in excellent health. And that's not really anything I did. It's kind of the luck of the draw. And I think I should be able to, or I should, take advantage of that. I'm also at the stage in life, I have children, that they're relatively independent, and that if I don't do it now, well, then when? So I'm cognizant of that, and I'm cognizant that being on the back nine of life, if I don't seize the opportunities these days, they're not going to be there in the coming years. But there's an even deeper reason that I'm doing it because I can. I've had dear friends through the years, family members who, due to physical infirmity or the changes and chances of life or an early death, don't have the opportunities that present themselves to me. And in this regard, I'm thinking of the scene in the movie Good Will Hunting, where the two main characters there are talking about construction, and maybe the brilliant one is going to just do construction projects and demolition projects for the rest of their life. and his best friend tells him, "I'll be offended if you don't take the opportunities that present themselves to you." And so I'm cognizant that having this opportunity in 2019 is something that on even a more profound level I owe to the people who would dearly love to have this opportunity themselves and don't. So I'm keeping them in mind as well. The next reason is that I want to use this time as a period of quietness and philosophical self-reflection. I've done enough long distance backpacking over the years that I know after even just a very few days, there's a quietness that comes into one, and you can think things through in your life and things that you want to have insights into. And I think I need some of that at this stage of my life. I remember many years ago I had a boss, and I told him one day that I thought in my entire life I had only had one original thought. And he came up to me several years later and he mentioned this to me, and I realized that I had forgotten what that single original thought was that I've had in my life. Well, maybe in the quietness of the trail I will remember what that one original thought was in my life, and who knows, maybe I'll actually come up with a second or even a third original thought. And my last reason is to go seeking not just for philosophical insights and for quietness in my life, but to really seek a further closeness with God. And in this regard, I am mindful of the prophet Elijah, and where he was presented with a mighty wind and fire and an earthquake. The voice of God was not in any of those, but in the still small voice. And I know that unless I go seeking it in a deliberate way, I will never hear that still small voice. I may not hear it. I'm not necessarily expecting to hear it, but I know if I don't prepare myself to hear it, that I never will. So those are the reasons that I'm going to go ad ventura in 2019. I'll be starting pretty early in the year, and there will be more videos that you will find on my YouTube channel. But perhaps you found this interesting and a little bit of insightful into at least my own motivations. I'm Farrell.